And today I was going to demonstrate how I get a nice clean wrap using half round wire. So first I'm going to start with 5 or 6 22 gauge round wires. I call these base wires, and these are the wires that I'm going to be wrapping the half round against. And I just run them through my fingers several times in order to smooth them out. You can use a tool for this. They have a nylon jawed tool for this, but I just use my fingers. And then I am using a 21 gauge half round. And you can see the shiny side is the flat side. And so I'm going to lay that flat side against the base wires. And just to get the initial wrap, I'm going to use my hand and just wrap it around the back like that, just to anchor it in place. And then what I like to do is get a pair of flat nose pliers and place the top jaw of the pliers on the top base wire and use that as leverage to use the bottom jaw to push that 21 gauge half round over the front of the base wires. And again, use that jaw, that top jaw, as leverage. And this allows for a sort of pinching motion too, that when you wrap, naturally the wires can begin to bunch together. But this pinching motion right here will pinch those base wires so that they lay flat against one another again. And you see if there's a space between any of the wraps, I just use those plier jaws to pinch them closed. Now, sometimes when you use your hand to wrap like that, that human element can alter the look of the wraps because you're using a different tension every time. Maybe your hand is in a different direction. Maybe you're pulling the wires a little to the left or to the right. So in order to avoid that the human element that can sometimes cause mistakes, I'll just use those pliers and then twist the whole piece around, twist all the base wires around, and continue using those pliers as leverage. And this allows for a much cleaner wrap, and it moves so much more quickly too. You can work a wrap like this much more quickly than if you have to keep putting your pliers down and using your hand. And this way, you know, it moves along pretty smoothly, and those wires lay nice and even. The 21 gauge wire doesn't twist because your hand's not manipulating it. And see, you can see a little bit of the difference here. Let me see if I can get it in focus. But you can see a little bit of a difference here. The first 4 wraps where I used my hand are a little wonky, but then the last 4 or 5 where I used the pliers for the whole wrap look much cleaner. And then to trim the ends, I'll lift up that end and trim it about halfway down so that it's near the second or third base wire. And then I'll just use my pliers to pinch that down. And then test it with your fingers, you know, turn the piece side to side, make sure you can't see the ends, make sure you can't feel the ends. And that pretty much sums up how I approach working with half round wire. And of course this technique, using the pliers like that, will work on any number of base wires. I've done it with using that gauge half round around 2 wires. So it works for a variety of instances. I hope